With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
For the first and only time in the Precision Racing League's NASCAR Cup Series for Season 3 in 2022, we go super speedway racing at the World Center of Racing. While it's not the Daytona 500, the Highbanks in Florida will play host to the championship finale here tonight, with 2 drivers tied on points for the overall title and 3 drivers fighting over the remaining 2 spots in the playoffs. Hello everybody, welcome to Daytona. My name is Joe O'Leary. I'm alongside Joey Tebben for the finale tonight. We've seen a lot of Abner Acosta and Trent Dickel shredding the field here so far this season, Joey, but tonight it's going to be more about survival.
It is Daytona. It is always about survival. But what a twosome of drivers to fight for this championship, and it's the 2 drivers that have dominated all season. Trent Dickel has had a renaissance. He's won races in the past 3 seasons, I think, but 5 wins this season. That's more than half of the races we've run so far. But Abner Acosta has been the more consistent of the 2, and the 2 teammates have completely evened out. Like you said, dead even on points. That's going to make our championship calculations kind of harder and easier at the same time. But it could not be closer coming into the final race, and it couldn't come at a track that is more unpredictable.
Absolutely, it's so unpredictable tonight, and that's what makes it so interesting indeed as well. We've seen some great tracks obviously on the calendar in previous as well. Let's just take a quick look at those just to round things off. 3 road courses in what's been a fairly heavy road course season really here for season 3, starting at Sonoma, at Watkins Glen last week as well, but we're ending at the Daytona International Speedway. It's a great venue to close out the season, if a little bit unpredictable as well. We could see it decided ever so slightly by that little bit of of luck, but then again, it's going to be royally entertaining. So I hope you're going to tune in and enjoy the show here tonight. As we've already mentioned, Abner Acosta, Trent Dinkle are tied on points heading into today. Joshua Daniels is unlikely to be caught for third place, but he could well do. The battle for fifth place will be a close one as well, with only 5 points separating James O'Brien, Skip Gandy, Eric Haag and Tyler Justice. Just 5 points between those two, as I say, in that battle for fifth place at the moment, with Adam Zemke and Eric Papineau rounding out the top 10. Papineau, by the way, securing his place in the playoffs last week at Watkins Glen. As I said in the introduction, 3 drivers, and none of them on the screen here, unfortunately, but 3 of the drivers are fighting over the 2 remaining places in the 16 driver playoffs that we will see at the start of season 4. So we'll try and keep an eye on those drivers as well. Not too much to say with regards to the team standings either here, really. Private label Team Hype have been running away with this from the very start, and their 100-point lead over Love Racing is enough now for them to take the title without problems here at Daytona. SGE Esports are only marginally ahead of Phase 2 Chassis Works, with their other SGE Esports team, Octane that is, just rounding out the top 5 there in the teams. And let's take one last look at the format as well, just in case you've not been with us so far in this series. It's the NASCAR Next Gen Cars fixed setups. 1 green-white checker attempt which may come into effect. The tyre changes probably won't, but the scheduled laps on 90 minutes is going to be an interesting one today. 90 laps on the schedule, but will we get them all in? That's the question. How many cautions are we going to get today? It's going to be weighing heavy on these drivers' minds.
And if you were here with us on Wednesday night, you saw what went down in the NASCAR Truck Series race. We ran every single lap. We got to the end of the race, and we made very good time. It was a very clean super speedway race, and frankly, that's usually the case in the precision racing league. I cannot count how many super speedway races I've seen in this league. I cannot count how many super speedway season finales I've seen. I feel like there's been multiple in the past, and they've all been reasonably clean. We come to Daytona, we come to Talladega, we go to iRacing Super Speedway expecting wreck fests, expecting complete disasters, and they're usually pretty respectful about things. So I'm not too worried about getting all 90 laps in, and I think we will likely be in for a pretty good Daytona race, unlike the one that happened in real life today.
Well, yeah, we'll leave it out for the moment. But yeah, just qualifying getting underway at the moment. Before we go too further, let's have a quick look at Trent Dinkle here. There he is, just getting concentrated up on the high banks at the moment, getting the speed built up. We'll talk a little bit about the method of qualifying around Daytona in a few moments' time. But before we go too much further, let's remind you of the sponsors that make this coverage possible, starting with VCO, broadcast partners here at RaceSpotTV, having to bring you every Precision Racing League event in 2022 for Season 3 and Season 4 here on RaceSpotTV. It's great to have them along, helping us out with the broadcasts here tonight and throughout the season. Also, of course, brought to you by Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Bookkicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. And finally, NinjaTrader, ready to compete against the financial markets. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Big thanks to all of those guys who make broadcasts like these possible. So, qualifying at Daytona, we're just under 2 minutes from the end. Trent Dinkle making his way towards the line on what I believe is his second lap right now, Joey, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that qualifying is a bit of a lottery around here at a circuit like this. However, there certainly is a method to it.
There is a method to it. You can see Trent Dinkle doing a little bit of a cheeky move down there below the yellow line, coming through the tri-oval, and that puts him on pole. It's not necessarily a lottery. It comes down in qualifying sessions like this at Daytona. It's almost like Indy 500 qualifying as well. It comes down to who's the most planted, who can build up the most speed, and who can just be as smooth as humanly possible with that steering wheel. Every single degree of steering, every single bobble, every single inch you're off the bottom that is thousandths of a second. That is tens of hundreds of thousandths of a second that you're losing. And that's how you lose pole. You can see the difference between Acosta and Dinkel. It's only 20 thousandths of a second. That's nothing, but that's just one little bobble. That's one little inch off the top of the track, or off the bottom of the track rather. And you've got to be absolutely perfect. You've got to build up as much speed as possible. And the best drivers in this series, they're the best drivers in this series. They know how to do that, and no surprise, Acosta and Dinkel, they've dominated all season, and at a track that we don't think requires that much driving skill, they're still at the top.
Of course, we know that qualifying is important at a super speedway. You want to stay out of the traffic. But of course, as well, Joey, there's 2 extra bonus points for pole position here in the Precision Racing League's NASCAR Cup Series. And so Abner Acosta has, I guess, taken the championship lead with this pole position here.
Yeah, he has. He has a 2-point championship lead now. And then there's 1 bonus point for getting a fastest lap. If you want to talk about a lottery at Daytona, that's more of a lottery for that 1 point. And then you also get a point for leading a lap. And then you also get a point for leading the most laps. So technically there's 2 points for leading the most laps, because to lead the most laps, you have to lead a lap. And there's also caution points to talk about, but we'll get into all of that as the race progresses. But for now, we've got the 2 championship leaders up ahead right next to each other, and I think that's all we could ask for.
Yeah, they'll be on the front row together on different lines indeed. On the inside, it's going to be Abner Acosta. On the outside, Trent Dinkel. Steve Loving will be on the inside with Acosta, with Joshua Daniels, 4th place, eternally almost in that little position at the moment here in Season 3 anyway. Not able to repeat his Season 1 success from 2022, as Charles Guerra and Barry McDonald will line up on row 3 together. Skip Gandy, 7th place, very similar to his championship position as well, with Robert Bisor Jr. in 8th. Chris Hudson at 9th ahead of Mike Witt. Then we've got Jose Medina and Brandon Walter on the 6th row together. James Durr in that 13th place ahead of Eric Papineau, who's no longer got any pressure on him in terms of making the playoffs. Richard Bragan Jr. down in 15th with Adam Zemke. Then it's Ricky Barbary, the first driver, over a 10th down on the pole sitter. Tom Amasi not really able to get a strong lap in there. Finished in 18th in that session. And then we've got a load of drivers who weren't able to qualify there. Tyler Justice, Sean Powell, Pat Harvey, Waldo Walden, Lou Christian, Eric Hogg, Clayton Ham and Joe Hoggard, all not able to set lap times here in this session. And so they will be starting from the back. 90 minutes around here, Joey, starting from the back. We see it in the Daytona 500 sometimes, people deciding to run the first 90 laps or so at the back because it's the safest place to be. But is a race like this just a little bit short for that kind of tactical play?
Absolutely not. Let's think back to Wednesday night. Christian Swenson, you know where he qualified? He qualified 26th because he didn't take to the grid, or he didn't take to qualifying. He didn't set a lap. Who won that race? Christian Swenson. He advanced 25 spots through the field. By starting at the back, he survived whatever calamity affected the drivers in front. You're basically guaranteed a caution at Daytona. So even if you do lose the draft by sticking to the back of the field, you're going to get packed up. You're going to be back in the fight. And when the field is as small as it is tonight, it's only 26 cars here, we're going to have everybody packed together here. I don't think there's going to be much losing the draft until there's some sort of incident. So even if you didn't qualify, even if you are starting 26th, I don't think you're in a bad spot here. There's so much that's going to happen tonight.
It's not the full classic NASCAR 43 car grid here, but still 26 cars is a lot to be out there on the grid here today. You're going to want to get to halfway to get those points as well, of course. If you don't, then you'll get a 0 next to your name. But also in terms of points, we've got to think about caution points as well, in terms of who's involved in incidents and so on and so forth. We'll try and keep you across that throughout the race here today. It's going to be very, very difficult indeed. It's quite a difficult set of rules to explain, really, throughout this race. However, we're going to try and keep on top of it. But basically, these drivers, especially Acosta and Dinkel, have to avoid causing cautions themselves, to kind of summarise.
Yeah, basically, boil everything down, throw all the championship math away, just win the race. And if you do that, you can worry about the rest of the stuff later. But that's the only thing that Acosta and Dinkel are worrying about right now. They both want to win. All the math can come later.
It's as simple as that. Just win the race, and you'll have the championship in your hands. That's going to be the aim for Abner Acosta and Trent Dinkel, who such great rivals throughout this season. They've been side by side on so many occasions. They've been 1 and 2 on so many occasions as well now. The last time we didn't see them at 1 and 2 was all the way back at Pocono 6 weeks ago. Now it's time to go racing for the final time in Season 3. The Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series getting underway one more time. The green flag waves at Daytona. Acosta versus Dinkle on lap number 1 of 90. Pretty even start, but in the end it's Trent Dinkle who gets his nose in front, gets a car length in front. The outside line running well through 1 and 2, and they go to 3 and 4. It's the outside that are really showing themselves here, with Dinkle now in the lead.
I'm surprised to see Trent Dinkle not duck down to the bottom there. I thought he and Abner were going to stick together and work together. He is going to get down to the bottom, but Joshua Daniels was almost clear there. Byron McDonald was almost clear. Abner Acosta is just falling back here, but he is going to be able to meet his teammate down there on the bottom. But they're both going to fall way back, and Joshua Daniels and Byron McDonald and VCO and Witt, they've all got the momentum. I don't know if that was deliberate for the private label team hype drivers to fall back here, but they had an opportunity to be 1-2 at the head of the field right now, and they've fallen back. They're leading the bottom line, but they are falling back.
Joshua Daniels leading a race in Season 3. We haven't seen this very often in this season here. He's not won a race in 2022. He's tied in the points lead now with Abner Acosta at the very front of the overall championship for 2022. Was leading briefly there, but now the inside line begins to get moving. Trent Dinkle going to be pushed by Abner Acosta, and ironically nearly pushed him to a bonus point there. Not quite able to. Joshua Daniels able to lead at the line. Also gets the fastest lap. We're very even at the moment with the inside and outside. However, it looks like the inside has now gotten a bit more organised than they were on the actual green flag.
It's easy to be individualistic here in this race. It would be easy for Dinkle and Acosta to only think about themselves because they're both fighting for the championship. But I think they both remember now that they are teammates. Their best way to ensure that either one of them is able to win the race is to work together to stay up front. You need teammates in a super speedway race. You need help to be able to stay up front, to be able to win. Both of these guys want to beat each other, but they know they have to work together to stay up front here. And if either of them wants a chance to win the championship, they're probably going to need to stick together for quite a while.
Trent Dinkle said to us last week, we were interviewing him after the Watkins Glen race, previewing this one. He said, at Daytona, you need friends, and there's certainly a lot of truth to that. It just remains a case of how long are Abner Acosta and Trent Dinkle going to be friends for. Acosta heads to the outside line. There's a little bit of movement, a little bit of nervousness. Trent Dinkle's going backwards. Acosta will hit the front. He switches to the high side, abandoning his teammate down low, and then the 5 switches low onto the inside line. So already interesting plays, and everybody is going to remember what different drivers have done to them and how they've kind of stuck the knife in, if you like. There's going to be a lot of politics going on almost in the pack at the moment as Acosta comes over the line at the end of lap 4 to take the lead and take a lap's lead as well, take another bonus point. But the inside line has been taken by him now. Very interesting to see him go out wide, and now Dinkle's turn to choose the high line again.
I didn't quite see what happened to Trent Dinkle in the previous lap. It's just like he got shuffled out. There was a huge checkup at the front of the field. A few drivers just fell back, but I didn't see what happened. I did not see how the teammates got broken up, but now he's got to work with somebody who is very much not his teammate, Byron McDonald and Robert VCO Jr., to try and work his way back to the front again. And you mentioned you've got to have friends at Daytona. I talked about this with Terry on Wednesday night in the truck series. There's some drivers up front here who, no offense to them, don't always run up front in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series. But Daytona, as the great equalizer, it promotes some drivers who Acosta and Dinkle don't normally race with up to the front, and they've got to figure out, how can I race with this person? Have I ever worked with this person? Especially some of the new drivers to the series this season. It's kind of unpredictable. You don't really know who to trust.
Absolutely, it's very difficult. And Byron McDonald is making Trent Dinkle not trust him at all at the moment. Dinkle's going to get sent into the middle. It's 3 wide as they go toward 3 and 4. Dinkle with no friends, no help, and he's going to be going backwards quickly outside the top 10 you're going nowhere when you're in the middle like this. You can see it right now. It's getting pretty dangerous as well. He finally seek a little bit of shelter up there, up high at the moment, but this is not where Trent Dinkle wants to be at all.
Yeah, Trent Dinkle's kind of scaring me a little bit. I don't really know what he's doing. He's really squeezing down to the bottom in the tri-oval, and Byron McDonald just ditched him on the back straight. Him and Robert Besaw Jr. and a few others, they just elected to not help Trent Dinkle at all. They tried to get around him. Maybe they think Dinkle's just moving around a little bit too much, but whatever is going on with Trent Dinkle, it is not very good, and he is falling back and back and back with every lap. He's finally going to find a spot on the bottom. He's finally going to find a spot in line, but he's fallen to 11th. Advantage Abner Acosta right now, easily.
Absolutely, and the worst thing for Trent Dinkle right now is the fact this has gone single file. It's very difficult to get the race out of single file once we see it like this, and also Acosta is just leading lap after lap after lap, and that's only going to be increasing the amount of laps he's led and pushing him further towards most laps led for the day. Obviously, it's simple maths. You need 46 to guarantee yourself, but you might end up needing less, to be honest, at a race like this. But 46 laps led would guarantee you the victory in that with that bonus point at the very end. And Acosta has got himself at least. I think this will be his 5th as we're coming up to the line at the moment. Dinkle now trying to do something about it, going to the outside, but it's so hard when there's almost nobody around you to help.
And nobody is going to go up there to help him, and he's going to turn Mike Witt. Oh, no.
Dinkle in the wall off of turn 4. The championship contender in the wall big time. 5 times race winner this season. Is going to have a long road back from here. The 26 car was turned by Dinkle, you would say. We'll have to see it again, of course, but we were riding on board with him. And Trent Dinkle's championship chances may just be falling through his fingers as we speak.
And that might just be a caution point. That might be 3 points again down the drain for Dinkle. But look at that car. The back of that car is destroyed. It's spitting sparks. Even if he does get that car repaired, which he's going to do. He's going to hang out in the pits. He's going to get that car repaired in hopes that Abner also has similar troubles and he can be back racing with him. But we have to see a replay there. Trent was worrying me in the previous laps. He was really squeezing down in the tri-oval. Well, let's see here on the exit of 4. Mike Witt's in the red car on the inside, and yet Trent just comes down again on the exit. There's a little bit of netcode involved, but he came down into Mike Witt. I think he's going to be frustrated with himself there. He just came down a little bit, and he's destroyed because of it.
He absolutely is. I don't think you can put too much blame on Mike Witt there. We'll have another look at it here. You see he's got a real big little bit of speed here, but then no help. That's Richard Reagan Jr. trying to come to his aid, and he's going to try and just go to the side of Mike Witt. They both end up in the wall, both the 9 and the 26. 3 other cars, by the way, got involved with damage as well. And you can see the front right suspension there as well. Not quite behaving in the way he wants. That's going to be a long repair for Dinkle. There's no doubt about that. You mentioned the sparks. That car's basically running on the floor at the moment as well. There's going to be a big repair there. A lot of drivers are down pit lane, by the way. Only 5 drivers actually stay out here at the moment. But for the most part, it's going to be normal pit stops for these drivers. Trent Dinkle is going to be in there for a long, long time.
Yeah, might as well fill up the fuel if you're at the back of the field and everybody else is coming in. There's no real loss to coming in here. You can think about the strategy a little bit later. I think it should be, it's hard to say, probably a safe 2-stop, but depending on how the cautions fall, pitting right now might be the thing that wins you this race. But there's one last comment on what we saw between Dinkle and Witt. I did notice Mike Witt move a little bit up. He was clipping the yellow line just a little bit. He moved up a teensy bit, but Dinkle moved down far more, and when it's that early in the race, who am I to criticize Trent Dinkle? But I think he might have been just being a little bit too aggressive, trying to get that side draft, trying to move forward. I'm sure he was frustrated being in the bottom half of the top 10 there, and that's what can happen in the close quarters. Let's watch it again here. Yeah, Trent moves down, then Mike moves up. I think that's a fairly straightforward call, but look at all the innocent people that were involved as well. We didn't even mention Tyler Justice, James Dewar, Adam Zemke. A lot of drivers were involved in that other than Dinkle and Witt, and they were all sitting in the pits as well trying to get fixed.
Oh, 55 with quite a lot of damage there, especially damage to actual contact ratio there. It was quite heavy on the 55, really. But there we are. Trent Dinkle is, well, out of the car at the moment. Let's hope he will return. Let's hope he's just having a look at the incident while the repairs are being done, and hopefully he'll be able to get back into the car and rejoin here. Because you're right, if anything happens to Acosta a little bit later on, then he has to be right there to pick up the pieces. But I do believe, yeah, Trent Dinkle just out of the car at the moment. We'll see if he gets back in. The lights are off, by the way, on the top of the pace car. And Acosta will lead the field around. Wonder how this kind of changes the race, though, just a little bit. The fact that Dinkle is now out of it, particularly for Acosta, can he afford to be any less aggressive? Because sometimes I feel like Dinkle is... Acosta, the safest place to be is up front, and the safest thing to do is to remain or keep doing what you were doing. As we're going to have a look at some avoiding driving, I'd imagine, here from Sean Powell, who sees his life flash before his eyes, and he hangs on to it. Fair play to him.
Yeah, Powell almost won here on, again, Wednesday night. The Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers did a great job working together. Powell, Regan, and Swenson. Swenson came away with the win. Now Powell and Regan are both still there at the back of the field. Tyler Justice has a little bit of damage, but they're all still working together. And Abner Acosta, I don't think he's going to be any less aggressive because, frankly, he has nothing to lose. His championship rival has been erased. Things could change. He could come out. He could get a couple lucky dogs. He could be back up there. But for now, Abner's completely safe. He can do whatever the heck he wants to do.
Absolutely. We've also got James Durr and Adam Zemke both still getting repairs at the moment. Everybody else back out there again after repairing the damage. There is Dinkle at the moment still repairing that car. The pace car pulls in, though. We're ready to go racing again. Plenty of laps remaining in this one at Daytona. The green flag's back in the air. We're racing once more.
Brandon Walter found a gap down there pretty quickly. Switches down to the bottom. I think he's trying to find Abner. The two private label team, well, not private label, team hype drivers. They're two separate private label squads, but whatever. You get the point. Inner team teammates, Walter and Acosta, are probably going to work together now that Dinkle's been removed from the running for now.
And unlike the official start, the outside going nowhere on the first restart here. Slightly less cars in that train because of the way the caution worked on that occasion. We've already got a lot of cars down on the inside line, and it's very, very difficult to beat for the likes of Chris Hudson and Joshua Daniels. Daniels started second place on this restart, let's not forget, and he's clinging on to a top 10 as things stand right now. Everybody is searching for the inside line because that's the place to be at the moment.
You wouldn't be blamed for just trying to run calmly, quietly, and conservatively here. You're not going to win the race on lap 13 of 90 at Daytona. You want to be up front. You want to be the driver leading the lap sometimes. You want to be in with a shot for the win late in the race, and those are the calculations you have to make. But right now, if I'm at the back of this train, if I'm Powell and Regan and Justice all working together as teammates in the back of the line in your screen, I'm not too worried about track position right now. I'm just worried about survival, and I'll think about track position in maybe 40 or 50 laps time. That's when I'm actually thinking about that.
Absolutely. It is about survival, a race like this. Getting to the end with your car still intact, still up front, and still in with a shout of winning this one. The outside line just starting to get organised now and starting to move. Oh, there's movement now! The 27 in the wall! Everybody's going to get caught up in this! Already lap 14, it's already happened. Nearly 10 cars involved in this one. Surely the 27 was the first to move and really get involved there. Deary me. Another huge accident here at Daytona. Lots of cars heavily damaged.
I shouldn't have said anything about having a clean super speedway race before this started, because we've gone slightly insane in the first 14 laps of this race, and we just wadded up a lot of cars. We'll have to take a look at the replay to see what really triggered that, but that is so many cars heavily damaged, so many more cars involved. I don't know how many cars we're going to have left here.
Well, absolutely. There's got to have been at least 10 in that one. I think the top 7 or so maybe got away without problems. But after that, it happened at the very, very front. You can see Steve Loving from second place here.
Oh, Daniels wasn't
tried
clear.
to come across. Yeah. He wasn't clear. I think it was Steve Loving, although hard to say in the heat of the moment. But, I mean, it happened first car in the outside lane. And so, I mean, when that happens, there's no avoiding it. There's absolutely no avoiding it for the likes of Chris Hudson, for everybody who was in that line. You cannot get out of a situation like this. Just look at this.
Oh yeah, that was Loving on the top. Forgive me, Joshua Daniels. That was Loving who was leading the top line. He tried to clear himself on Chris Hudson, and he wasn't clear. The momentum for Chris Hudson was too much, and when you get turned in front of a field like that, especially right after the restart, everybody's packed together. Like you said, no avoiding that. Joshua Daniels, he appears to have made it through fairly unscathed, but we know there's damage on that car. You saw Jose Medina backwards. He's got damage. Steve Loving, of course. Chris Hudson, of course. Again, a lot of cars involved, and this all comes from not being quite clear and not really knowing where the momentum's coming from, and just miscalculating, and that's what can happen.
Well, there's going to be a lot of drivers on pit lane here for one reason or another. We've got Skip Gandy, I think, staying out, and fair play to him for that one. But I mean, everybody else is coming in. Yet to see anybody else not make a pit stop. I think everybody, apart from Skip Gandy, have come down pit lane here. Clayton Ham getting air here in avoidance, gone into the grass. I don't know how he's managed that, but either way, I think he's gotten away with that. Well, in real life, your suspension might completely collapse there, but fair play to Clayton Ham. He's managed to completely avoid and get away with that one as the pit stops do now complete themselves. Powell and Haag with a bit of a call there to get themselves into second and third.
Wonder, did they take two? They must have taken 2 tires each there, or they must have not taken tires at all. I think it's actually the latter. They probably took tires under the previous caution, so they've elected to stay out on those same tires. It's only been 4 laps, and tires don't matter that much at Daytona. They're worth taking, I would say, sometimes when you're late in the run, but not if you're going to throw away track position. But luckily, it's kind of reversed in their favor. They've gotten track position because they took tires or whatever under the previous caution. They've jumped everybody now, and Abner, who was the dominant leader, he's already fallen to 4th, and he's got a few older tired drivers, whatever in front of him, and it's gonna be a whole new race for him. But let's watch Mike Witt make it through this. He's probably having flashbacks to the last caution, but no, I'm not gonna be involved in the second caution. I'm making it through. Oh my god,
goodness me. We're gonna have we're gonna need a new segment of well, I don't know what we'll call it, but avoidance of the day or something. We need a new segment here at RaceSpotTV. To be honest, there are 9 undamaged cars in this race, from what I can tell right now. Clayton Ham had a 37-second pit stop there, so it wasn't exactly short, and he's in 8th place at the moment. Over a minute for Joshua Daniels, for Byron McDonald, Medina, Harvey, Witt, Walden, Chris Hudson, Joe Huggard, all over a minute in terms of the pit stop here. And we go over the line again. Sean Powell and Tyler Justice need to come in again as the lights go off on top of the pace car. We have got some horrendously damaged cars in this race as Trent Dinkle makes his way back out there again. Nearly 10 minutes in the box for him, but there's the opportunity to pick up points here, and you never ever know at Daytona. You've just got to hope.
he's 6 laps down right now, but we just saw an accident that put heavy damage on the large majority of the field. So if there's another accident, if some engines pop, if some drivers get heavier damage, that's going to be more positions for Trent Dinkle. Unfortunately for him, every single driver ahead of him is still in the session right now and still running. So right now his upper ceiling is 24th, which is where the 2 other drivers who are 6 laps down, they're in 25th and 24th. So that's his upper limit right now. But again, if Abner gets involved in an accident, if more drivers get involved in an accident, there is going to be potential promotion. And when every single point matters, when points go all the way down through the field, you cannot give up, especially when there's 73 laps left at Daytona.
Trent Dinkle is not going to give up indeed for the moment. We've still got 23 cars on the lead lap as long as Jose Medina can get himself out there with a relatively undamaged car in time. But we'll wait and see. A lot of cars on the inside line here for whatever reason. I've noticed this when there's a lot of damaged cars. They do tend to stack up on the inside just a little bit, and it's going to leave the outside a little bit wanting, as it did on the first restart, or at least it should do. But we'll wait and see. The lights on the pace car are off. It pulls it into the pit lane, and it's Skip Gandy who's going to be in control of the second restart of the day. Green flag in hand, waving in the air. We're back underway here at Daytona.
Hog finds the gap on the bottom there. That's smart. But they are dicing it up in the back. Abner Acosta almost got turned by Clayton Ham, but he's found his teammate on the high line. Private label team hype. They finally found each other, and they're going to be working together up there. And we're already wrecking again on the back straight.
Another incident on the back straight. We stay green for the moment, somewhat miraculously. Byron McDonald's involved, so is Richard Reagan Jr. Joshua Daniels is back there as well. We stay green for the moment, which is almost a miracle. We've only got 14 cars or so in the train. Half of the field remain after 18 laps at Daytona. This is quite remarkable.
Saw Richard Reagan Jr. back there. I think Joshua Daniels was unfortunately taken out. Another incident. Byron McDonald was spinning around there. Was not quite flipping, but let's take a look at what happened. Daniels and Regan. Oh, I don't know what. That's not a great angle. I don't know if Byron just pushed Regan into Daniels, but either way, they all got loose, and luckily they all ended up on the apron down there at the bottom of the track. You won't get a yellow if everybody's still rolling down on the aprons. We stay green, but I think Regan and McDonald and Daniels are probably wishing we didn't stay green because they've completely lost the draft by about 30 seconds.
Yeah, they have, and they're they're probably going to get swept up here by the main pack. And Richard Reagan Jr. does make his way into the pit lane there. You just saw him on the bottom. I wonder whether something happened to him out of turn 2 here. He slows down dramatically.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice that, but he just slams on the brakes.
Yeah, for the second week in a row, Richard Reagan Jr. has had a technical failure, and it's exactly the same as we saw at Watkins Glen. We saw this happen at Watkins Glen at the bus stop chicane. Thankfully, there was nobody that close to him. But we said it at the time. Taylor Burris said it at the time. If that happens in the middle of the pack at Daytona, then some people are going to fall by the wayside, and that's exactly what's happened there. It's so unlucky that something like that would happen right in the middle of the pack, and I mean, it's quite unlucky that no caution has been thrown for it either.
I'm going to call that the prediction of the season. Taylor Burstradamus over here predicting calamity here, and he was completely right. Right on board with Richard Reagan Jr. It's hard to tell from an outside perspective, but yeah, you could see the front tires locking. He didn't hit the brakes. It was a mechanical failure, but I don't think that's going to be any solace for McDonald or Daniels. They're going to be pretty unhappy about that one.
They are. Such a shame. Such a shame for those drivers. And there it is.
Yeah.
There's the onboard. I mean, I'm shocked he hasn't blown his engine, actually, because it's being revved unbelievably, like you wouldn't believe, actually, there. So, yeah. Richard Reagan Jr. with the problems to sort out. He lost about 30 seconds last time fixing it, and indeed, he's had to do it again. Did get back rolling once more, but no caution thrown. He's back to the pit lane, and I wonder if he's calling it a day. Well, he's in the pit lane at the moment. Steve Loving may well have called it a day. We'll wait and see on him whether he will re-emerge. Yeah, down in the pit lane at the moment. So 14 cars remain in the draft, 11 in that group of side-by-side cars. You can just see you've got a few just off the back of the mountain, including Chris Hudson, which is remarkable given the contact he got into to bring out that second caution indeed. And so we've got a very depleted field compared to what we started this race with, and nearly 70 laps remaining. I mean, the whittling down we've had already is something we're more likely to be seeing, 70 laps into this race. Never mind with 70 to go.
And talk about these drivers that are in the top 10, top 11 right now. So many of them have never won a race in the PRL before. Skip Gandy, Lou Christian, Eric Hogg, Eric Papineau, Clayton Ham, Mike Witt, Tom Amasi, Ricky Barbary. So many drivers here are going to be desperate for their first win. But that's also something that Acosta and Walter and Besaw and some of the more experienced drivers have to take into consideration. Who has been trustworthy to work with over the course of tonight? Who have I raced with before? Who maybe have I seen have strength in other series that I know I can trust to win, even if they haven't won in the PRL? They don't really have to think about that right now because Walter and Acosta both have each other as buddies down there on the bottom. But again, once we get later in the race, once we get to those last couple laps, if all the drivers that are up here in the top 10 are still around, it's anybody's game, and I don't think anybody can predict who's going to come out on top of that.
No, it's going to be very unpredictable indeed, as Acosta almost lifting off there to get Walter in front of him, and then almost doesn't want it, so he goes to the inside now and will retake the lead as they go down towards 1 and 2. Very interesting to note as well that in this front group right now, we've got Tom Amasi and Robert Besaw Jr. They're actually very close to each other, further down towards the back end of the top 10. Both of those two drivers are 16th and 17th in the points at the moment and fighting over those final playoff places at the moment in the standings. The playoffs starting, of course, at the beginning of Season 4 in the NASCAR Cup Series for the PRL. Tom Massey holds that place at the moment, but Robert Bischoff Jr. wants to take it off him. He's only 10 points behind as they go into this race, and a win for either of them will obviously seal it. If Robert Bischoff Jr. beats him by 10 points here, then he'll be able to get into the playoffs as well. There's a lot riding on it for those two, but as you mentioned, just this is what Daytona brings. A priceless opportunity for drivers that otherwise wouldn't get a chance at a race win. They're getting one right now, and this is exactly why we love Daytona.
I don't know why Brandon Walter chose to get out of line there and fall to the back of this train. I guess he was somewhat worried for his survival, but he's lost his teammate. They could have been 1-2 at the head of this train, and now they're 1-9 for some reason. Now Acosta's got to work with Eric Haag here, who is one of those drivers who's never won in the PRL before. He's been strong, especially on the road side. He and Acosta and Ham actually have all of that in common. They're all very strong road course drivers. They found each other up front at Daytona still. But Brandon Walters is falling back, and he's going to lose another spot to Eric Papineau. He's working with Tom Massey and Ricky Barbary up on the high side, I think, to try and revive that, but I don't really know why. I don't know why he's not working with Abner, but he's forging his own path back there.
No, and as we saw earlier, he actually made it. We watched him make the conscious decision to not work with his teammate there, so that was very bizarre. But indeed, he's chosen that, and he's gone down to 8th place at the moment. By the way, Tyler Justice, Sean Powell, and Chris Hudson have all lost the draft, so this front group now has been reduced to 11. As Eric Carr just getting into the back of Abner Acosta here, pushing on right now. This is the best thing for this group, really. It looks like at the moment, just single file, nice clean racing. And what I've got to say as well, a big props to Mike Witt as well. Caught up in the first caution of the day, he's found himself up in 4th place.
Yeah, he was lucky he didn't make heavier contact with the wall when Dingle turned him up there. That would have been a very easy possibility, but Mike Witt 4th. He was another driver who's very, very strong in the Truck Series race on Wednesday. He was actually my random number generator's pick to win the truck race, and I thought that might have ended up being correct, but it didn't quite work out at the end. But very strong super speedway racer, and he's 4th right now. If he can keep surviving, he's already got a little bit of luck in surviving that Trent Dingle incident, but if he has a little bit more, it's his second shot. Maybe the random number generator will finally be right.
If one of these days, it's bound to be. Really, we just got to keep trying. Acosta still trying at the moment, 27 laps complete, and he's going to lead another one of them. I think that's Byron McDonald now who's going to get lapped. Currently, where is he? Down at 19th, and he's going to be the first car 1 lap down. He'll also be on that lap with Jose Medina. He's going to stay on the low line there so he can pick up a bit of the draft and get in with these guys. Byron McDonald just hoping for a caution. And that's exactly what he's got to do for the rest of it. But all of that is kind of scattered the field a little bit. A few drivers maybe trying to do something, but I mean, it's very difficult when you're in this position. Acosta has got a very willing ally now in Eric Haag on the inside line. It's going to be quite hard for anybody to organise anything on the outside now.
It's going to be very, very difficult, but we've got a lot of time to, I think, prepare, and all of these drivers that'll have a lot of time, especially the teammates that are up here in the top 10. They've got a lot of time to talk to each other, to work out what moves they're going to make, to work out the strategy until the end of the race. And I'm sure somebody will be able to issue a challenge to Abner Acosta. It's just a question of how long do they wait and when does it come. Witt, Gandy, and Papineau, they're all teammates up here. So there is an SGE Sports contingent, a very large SGE Sports contingent. Besaw as well, Lou Christian as well, just on different SGE squads. There's a lot of SGE Sports drivers up here in the top 10, and if they want to work together, and I guarantee you they do, there's a lot of SGE friends up here, and they can all overhaul Acosta if they work together.
Indeed, but we do talk about that, having friends up here in this group and working with other drivers, but just how much of a worry is that for Acosta in this race here? The fact that SGE, do you think they are going to get organised? Because that's the thing, it's all well and good having the teammates around, but will they be able to get organised enough to overhaul him here in this race? Because when it's, when the white flag suddenly waves and it's every man for themselves, then, everybody's going to be all over the place, and it doesn't matter who your teammates with anymore, surely.
I hope they get organized. I hope they know how to work together, but that's the unpredictable thing of Daytona. The things that seem logical, the things that seem smart aren't always the things that happen, but I can only assume that they're all talking to each other. I assume they're talking to each other in a Discord server or wherever all the SG Esports drivers hang out. I'm sure they're talking about, we want to get an SG Esports driver in victory lane at the end of this race. They haven't done it all season. A lot of their drivers have never won a race in the PRL before, ever, and I'm sure they all want to maximize their chances. I'm sure they're at least thinking, how can I overhaul Abner Acosta, who's won more races in the PRL than just about anybody else in the field?
Absolutely, he's won quite a lot. Richard Reagan Jr., the only one who started this race who has more than him, but unfortunately the 56 car has retired from this one, along with Joe Huggard and Steve Loving. All of them caught up in the same caution, most recent caution, and indeed to add insult to injury, on the most recent restart they were involved in the tie-up with Richard Reagan Jr., who may well have decided that actually it's probably a bit dangerous for him to drive with the way his equipment is at the moment and the technical problems he's been having over the last couple of weeks. So the search for win number 32 and the record-equaling win goes on for Richard Reagan Jr. as we look back to the second pack of Tyler Justice, Sean Powell and Chris Hudson. The three of them working together. They've kind of been shoved off the back in recent times. I guess all you've got to do in this battle at the moment is keep going as fast as possible and wait for a caution a bit later on, because there's almost no way they can get back in contention without one.
And it hasn't really been working out. They've been slower than the lead pack for every single lap. There just isn't enough cars back there in the second pack to do things. The fact that Ricky Barbary is kind of trying to mess up the top a little bit here, try and kick off something up there, that's helping the second pack to catch up. But one car popping out of line, one car slowing himself and Tamamasi down just a little bit is not going to be enough to draw Justice and Powell and Hudson in. They're just hoping for that caution. They're basically running their own race right now, and they're just hoping that the yellow flag comes out. They're hoping that the drivers up front start to race each other a little bit harder and bring out a caution, and Powell and Justice are being very, very aggressive with each other. You want the caution, but you don't want to be the caution.
Yeah, that's not going to be much help, but you can just see the 45 of Sean Powell getting very aggressive with Tyler Justice there through 2 and 3. 1 and 2, I should say. That nearly ended in disaster, but thankfully they're running well. Just under 6 seconds behind the leaders, and it will continue to extend as a margin throughout the day. So 33 laps now complete here at Daytona. We're over a third of the way through this one, and it's single file between the top 11 and a bonus Baron McDonald as well in the 8 car, who is involved and embedded within this pack at the moment. You can just see him third from last on the right hand side of your shot there, just helping everybody along on this inside line. I want to chat a little bit more though about this championship, which is not settled just yet, but Abner Acosta is in a fantastic place to do it, because Trent Dinkle at the moment is running 6 laps down in 22nd position in this field at the moment. He's not in with the leaders at the moment either, after that near 10-minute pit stop earlier on in this race. He's had 9 wins now in the Precision Racing League, 9 race wins, but he's never been able to win a championship. Do you think that lack of experience of being able to say you've won a championship at the PRL compared to Abner Acosta, who is the reigning champion of the NASCAR Cup Series, has that contributed to Dinkle's downfall today, or has it just been the luck of the draw here at Daytona?
Today specifically, it's been the luck of the draw at Daytona. I mean, the accident was mostly Dinkle's fault, but it's Daytona, it's unpredictable, and over the course of the whole season, he and Acosta have been dead even. Dinkle has had higher peaks, Acosta has been more consistent, and consistency does tend to win in those scenarios. Dinkle's gonna have won half the races this season, no matter what happens. He's won 5 races, 10 races this season. Acosta can at most win 3, but again, over the course of the season, it's been Acosta who's evened it out by scoring more points in the races that Dinkle hasn't won, and right now he is completely in control of this championship, of this race. I don't even think he's thinking about Trent Dinkle passing him right now, and I don't think Dinkle is really thinking about the championship right now either. I'm sure he's playing out scenarios in his head where Acosta ends up in the wall at 200 miles per hour and pops his engine and can't come back out, but that's exceedingly unlikely right now. It's very, very high advantage to Acosta right now, but I completely applaud Dinkle for still being out there and trying. I would hope that I would have the strength to do the same, because you can't lose hope. There's still a lot of laps to go, and we have seen far crazier things happen in the PRL this season.
I don't know, Joe. I've seen you driving a Formula 3. It's older, to be fair, so I don't know if you would. But Trent Dingle certainly is. He's trying.
I'm hanging up. I'm leaving.
But what can you do here at this stage? It was still 2021, by the way, when Abner Acosta last took less than 3 wins in a Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series season. He still took 2 on that particular occasion. He's taken 2 so far here this season as well. Maybe it will be the 3rd here today. He's, as I said as well, the reigning champion of this series back in season 2, and also qualified for the playoffs. He will be going into the overall points lead for 2022 as well, if things stay as they are right now, with Joshua Daniels also struggling and gotten caught up in the last couple of incidents. He's down in 18th position at the moment, running with Waldo Walden, the 2 of them just trying their best, really. Now, other than they've got help as well from Adam Zemke in the 57, but he's a little bit further down. It's a pretty sad story for quite a lot of these drivers down the field, and there's going to be plenty of drivers hoping for cautions pretty soon. Daniels is going to be next to be swept up by the pack, indeed, if this caution doesn't come out soon. But you've got to be looking around the field at the moment. Everybody going single file. Where's this caution going to come from for these guys?
Well, if I have to think about it, I think the caution might come next time they're navigating the moving chicanes here of some of the drivers who have lost the draft. We saw them fan out like a flock of pigeons when you throw a piece of bread at them last time they tried to lap a moving chicane, but that is truthfully what it is. A 3-car pack is just much slower than the train up front, and just like me, it's older, I guess. It's an unpredictable moving chicane.
Indeed. But yeah, we'll see how they negotiate.
It's older.
That's really not coming across. I never do that. But yeah, 35 seconds is the disadvantage at the moment, by the way, to the front of the field. That means they're about 12-13 seconds away from getting lapped. Their lap times are in the mid to high 48s, which is nearly 2 seconds slower than those at the front of the field. So if we do the maths, then it would probably be around lap 45, maybe a bit further towards lap 50, before we see a bit of lappery going on there. As we've got a bit of movement going on in the front group as well. Eric Papineau and Ricky Barbary going side by side. What for, you've got to say here in this, because the top 8 at the moment are getting away, and these 4 are going to lose the draft if they're not very careful, and they might already have done.
Yeah, Ricky Barbary has just been kind of desperate to make something work on the high line, and it has not worked once, and because of that, I think, well, it's not only his fault, but they have lost the draft, and it's going to be extremely difficult to bring down a 2-second gap that it is now between Walter and Papineau. They've got fast cars. They've got undamaged cars. Emasi is one of the few drivers with no damage. I believe Barbary has no damage. McDonald has a little, but Papineau's completely clean. But 4 cars is half of 8, and they're going to have just about half as much speed here. And yeah, they're out of luck here. They might get swallowed up by Powell and Justice and Hudson. But when that happens, that might form a little bit of a bigger train, and 7 versus 8, that's when it could get interesting, but they're going to have to lose a lot of time before they find a couple more buddies to join their train, and Tom Emasi and Ricky Barbary aren't even interested in staying in the train.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be too rude to these guys, but if you wanted to make a visual representation of the phrase shooting yourself in the foot, then I think this is it. They're going side by side between the 4 of them at the moment, as if we're on the last lap here. As I said, don't want to be too rude to them, of course. There's a lot going on at the moment, but it doesn't seem like the most efficient way to lap this circuit. Acosta just dipping into the 46s there. On the last lap, it was a low 48 from the guys in this group. What's the lap time going to be on this occasion? I think it's going to be pretty similar.
Oh, Tom Emasi is turned!
Oh, dearie me. Into the wall. It was coming, and once again the caution will not fly because they have not gone around. Indeed, they're going to pull to the apron. Ricky Barbary now goes around. Will he hold on to it? He sails up the racetrack. It looks like we've gotten away with it, but Tom Emasi and Ricky Barbary.
Don't go back up on the track.
This is very dangerous. Now, and the caution comes out. Ricky Barbary in the middle of the road. The caution finally flies. But that was all a comedy of errors between those 4.
That's a perfect way to describe what just happened. That was just kind of unnecessary. when at Daytona, I should say, when you're packed up in a whole pack, it can be faster to run side by side instead of just running in a line, but they did not have a pack there. They had 4 cars, they were slowing each other down, and unfortunately they wrecked for 90th. Ricky Barbry's kind of flailing around here. I don't want to say he intentionally tried to bring out the caution, but he was kind of flailing around there. He clipped the grass. I think his suspension might have been slightly broken, but yeah, that's just a very unfortunate situation and kind of an unnecessary caution, but it's almost going to act like a stage caution of sorts, because we're going to restart here for the second half of the race, and we're just going to have a race that's half as long as the one we were scheduled for.
Yeah, we're about halfway, so it works out. But yeah, I mean, in response to your comments there, I don't think he was too disappointed to find himself 90 degrees perpendicular to the road, on the road, there, to be honest, without giving too much away. So there we are. But anyway, let's get pit road open then, shall we, and see who comes in. Lap 43, this is for the moment. Is it worth coming in? Do you want to hold on to your track position? Well, Abner Acosta would like to make the trip down pit lane, and so everybody else will think, well, I'll have a piece of that, and they'll all come in together here at the moment. What this has done is allowed everybody on the lead lap to close up. So that was 18 cars. Tom Avassi is in the pit lane there, and so he's going to lose that. However, and Byron McDonald is going to regain one. However, he's not going to get on the lead lap there. But, oh no, he might well do, Byron McDonald. So 18 cars on the lead lap here. It's 4 tyres and fuel for the likes of Abner Acosta and the rest. But I don't think they'll be able to make this until the end. I think we're going to see them down pit road one more time, at least.
Yeah, they definitely will have. I don't think you can go 45 laps on a tank here. I don't know if it'll be a green flag stop. I don't know if we'll have another caution. If I had to predict based on the rest of the race, there's still enough cars out here that we could have another caution. So I think that's probably going to be the strategy that most drivers are predicting and counting on. But you can see a little bit of a used car lot back here. A lot of drivers who had damage, who didn't quite get it all repaired. Papano's getting more repaired. Joel Guerra is getting more repaired. Pat Harvey, Daniels, Ricky Barbry, kind of some damage of his own causing. They're all getting that fixed. But you've been given a gift here. You're on the lead lap. You can sit in the pits for as long as you want. As long as you don't go a lap down, get all your damage fixed, and you'll probably have a better shot, even if you are at the back of the train, because there's not that many cars on the lead lap. I don't think we're going to be seeing much of a field spread if everybody can work and stick together here on the restart.
Going to say Jose Medina and Adam Zemke getting through on the pack here as well, unless they want to come in pit lane here. They'll get the wave around indeed if they want it. And it might not be the worst idea, but then again, you could end up making a green flag pit stop on your own, and that is a death sentence around this circuit, so maybe they don't want that. Although staying out by the looks of things, that's because they're on the back straight. Nice. But oh no, we are on the front straight. There we are. They are staying out on the racetrack as expected. So I think that the most disappointing thing about that caution, of course, between Ricky Barbry and Tom Amasi there getting into contact, the fact that Tom Amasi may well miss out on a playoff place as a result of that. There only 10 points he was in the green for Amasi, ahead of Robert Bisor Jr. in the standings here today. If Bisor Jr. can finish more than 10 positions ahead of Amasi today, then he will be in the playoffs at the expense of the driver of the number 05. And so, I mean, I really feel sorry for Amasi, because none of that, well, not none of it, but certainly the Ricky Barbry business was not his fault at all, and he might miss out on a playoff place as a result.
And Tom Amasi, if I had to pick one driver across the 2 PRL NASCAR series who has the worst luck, who always seems to be getting involved in other people's incidents that aren't his fault, it would be Tom Amasi. And it's unfortunate if he loses a playoff spot because of that, but he's going to come back next season, I'm sure. He's been strong in both races this week on the super speedways. We'll go to Talladega next season. He'll get another shot, and one of these days, Tom Amasi's luck is going to turn around. It's got to happen one day.
The law of averages would tell you that, but for some drivers, it just seems to attach to them, and yeah, it's disappointing for Tom Amasi, who is now the first driver not on the lead lap down in there in 20th place, but he is still getting repairs, and those repairs now totaling nearly 4 minutes. So we have 19 cars now on the lead lap. That's good news for us. It means we may get a slightly bigger front group, but how many of these drivers have actually got a functional car at this point? Who knows? It's anybody's guess as we hit the halfway mark at Daytona. The green flag will be in the air one more time, and Abner Acosta will control another restart. Green flag in the air once again. The second half of the race begins here.
Some drivers in the back who I think were maximizing the damage they could get fixed. They haven't quite met the back of the field here. So Powell and Walden and Medina and Joao Guerra, they're gonna lose the draft here, which is unfortunate. They got back on the lead lap, and that is just a dead car for Ricky Barber. You can see the speed, that white car in the background. He's running about 40 miles per hour down. I think he's... Oh, no, that's not Ricky Barber. That's a different white car. Forgive me. I think that's... Who is that who's falling down the order? I don't know. That might have been Waldo Walden. But either way, there's some very damaged cars here. It's almost like a multi-class race at the back of this pack.
It is indeed. It's there's some quite damaged cars, as you say. I think that is Walden in the background, losing nearly 5 seconds on one lap there. So yeah, that's a very damaged car for the 84, I'm afraid. We go over the line once more, though. It's Clayton Ham who's going to leave lap 46. This all of a sudden has a bit of intensity to it. We've had a lot of single file racing so far, a lot of follow the leader out front. Some questionable things going on as well, but now all of a sudden it's all getting very, very aggressive indeed, with Robert Bissau Jr. trying to push on the outside line. Skip Gandy to the front, and he has managed it on the outside, but those two looking exceptionally dangerous with the amount of weaving they're doing.
Bissau, Gandy, Christian, they are all teammates. There's 3 SGE sports drivers up front, but I agree with you. I am slightly worried at the inability of Skip Gandy to hold a line here. You've got to hold a line if you want to get pushed. Robert Bissau Jr., I'm sure, is thinking that same thing. I can only push you, my friend, if you hold a line, but Gandy is swerving all over the place, and if he's not careful, he's going to get turned in front of the field at its worst. At its best, he's just not going to win the race. And Clayton Ham, he's got Abner Acosta pushing him. He's holding a nice, clean, smooth line down there at the bottom, and even though that isn't a teammate pushing him, it's working far, far better than whatever is going on with Skip Gandy up top.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's pushing you. If you're weaving all over the road like this, you're never going to get anywhere. My goodness, the heart must be in the mouths of everybody on the outside line at the moment, and they must be looking for a way back down to the inside here. Even Robert Bissau Jr. must be wondering quite what he's gotten himself into. There's the sight of Lou Christian on the right-hand side, staying concentrated and almost praying at the moment that this all goes right on the outside line. They begin to pick up a little bit of momentum off of 4, and then they get equal through the tri-oval. A little bit calmer. We've calmed down a little bit after that restart where Gandy was all over the place. Now at least we are slightly back on planet Earth, but it didn't look good for a few moments there.
He's still kind of not on the same wavelength as Bissau. They need to decide if Gandy's going to run a really tight line down in the bottom, squeezing the bottom a little bit more. Bissau's got to follow him, or Gandy's got to go where Bissau goes. I think the latter is probably the better idea. You need to have the pusher with you, and he is just kind of ditching Bissau a little bit. He's letting Bissau run his own line and not help him at all, but it has eventually worked out. That was not a good push from Acosta to Clayton Ham. Gandy is almost going to be clear, but he's not going to leave his teammate. You don't leave your teammate in a scenario like this unless you're clear with him, and he's going to stay up top. He's actually going to go to the middle. What are you doing, Skip? Bissau backs out of it, though. He could have ditched Gandy there. He could have left him in the middle, but he was being a nice teammate, and he let Skip get back up top, and now Abner's out of line.
Acosta wants no piece of this. Acosta does not want any of this. Pulls down below the yellow line, lifts off and says, I am out of here. I'm going back down the field to where it's a little bit safer, because there's a championship on the line here, and Trent Dinkle just ironically passes him, actually. Going down the straight there, you could just see it with the 9 car on the outside line. Acosta there was thinking with championship brain. These guys thinking with just their race heads on at the moment. They want to get everything they can. Skip Gandy has gone down low now, and it's Robert Bissau Jr. who's being pushed to the front now by Lou Christian. The outside line starts to prevail as Skip Gandy, I think, is almost slowing this inside line on his own. You can just see there's only 5 of them down there anyway, and they're not really going anywhere.
Ricky Barbary is in 3rd somehow after bringing out that last caution. Oh, Skip Gandy is still worrying me, and you can see the top line is working so much better. Christian is pushing Bissau. Barbary's going to go down to the bottom now. The driver who may or may not have deliberately brought out that last caution, is going for the lead here. There was no broken suspension on that car. That car is just fine, and it's still in the lead lap, and he might just get the lead a lap tonight.
He might well do. His last pit stop was about as double as long as it should have been because of the damage repair that had to be undertaken, but he's already gotten straight to the front here, or at least the front of the inside line in the 19, but the outside's so organised and so quick up there at the moment. Robert Pistol Jr. is leading them around at the moment. His rival Tomo Massi, by the way, is now the last running car, a whopping 9 laps down. It is such a shame for his big rival here. Pistol Jr. just needs to finish 12th or higher. As things stand, as the race goes on at the moment, he's going to be in because of a win. So that really would be remarkable for the driver of the number 3. So we'll see if he can manage it, but at the moment, the outside line is the one that prevails as Abner Acosta in the background, despite being pushed by Eric Haag, I think he's losing the draft.
I completely understand Abner's move there. I probably would have made the same move. Just back out. You don't want any part of the craziness that's going on up front. You've got the championship in the bag right now as long as you survive. All you need to do is beat Dinkel, who's in 22nd. This would be the second time this week that Abner Acosta wins the championship by finishing like 18th, but I don't think he really cares. I think he cares about the championship, and if he has to survive in some middling place in the mid-teens, I think he's just fine with that, and that's what you're seeing here. He's falling back even more. He just let Eric Haag by. He's down to 15th. He's just hanging out of the back of the train, and I think he knows another caution is probably going to come out soon.
He's not exactly a rookie when it comes to winning championships in the Precision Racing League. He's tied second at the moment. A championship here tonight would take him to second on his own with 6 championships in the Precision Racing League as a whole. It would take him to 2 at NASCAR Cup Series championships as well, of course, to join nobody, but move up at least in the order with regards to championships there. So it will be a pretty big thing for him. However, he's not going to do it by winning the race at this rate. He's very much lost the draft on the back there. Good to see Trent Dinkel getting in amongst it, though. He's getting pushed at the moment by Chris Hudson. Unfortunately for Dinkel, he is still 6 laps down here in this race. He's actually about to overtake Adam Zemke, who decided to take the wave around instead. And this is exactly why Dinkel did not do that. Because it's maybe not the best idea, but Dinkel's showing us that he very much can race at a circuit, at a super speedway course like Daytona, like Talladega. He can very much mix it with the front drivers. Unfortunately, he's doing it while 6 laps down, but he's got a repaired car now and showing us what he could have done here in this race today.
And if he gets to the head of this train and the caution comes out, he's only 5 laps down. And he might actually get the lucky dog, and he'd only be 4 laps down. So we get 2 laps back for the price of 1. But right now, his teammate Brandon Walter is not really letting him lead this train. I think he might be trying to work with Walter to get to the front, and then he might go up top and then elect to lead the line. Besaw and Christian kind of broke up there. So if I'm Trent Dinkel, I'm leaving my teammate. I'm going up to the top. I want to pass him here. I want to get my lap back, but he's not going to do that right now. He's just going to stick with Walter. And that might be a sign that he's not even thinking about championship anymore. He might think that it's completely over, and he might as well put himself back in teammate mode and help Brandon try and win this race and then throw away his own championship hopes just to help out a teammate right now.
To be fair, I don't think Dinkel can do anything himself to stop Acosta winning this championship. His only hope is the number 5 car having problems here today. So I do think this is the right call, at least for the moment, from Trent Dinkel to help out one of your teammates, Walter, here at the very front. Dinkel still down 20th place, I think, running at the moment. He is indeed. Jose Medina is in the pit lane from 19th, so we're about to have 18 cars on the lead lap, and then that would get yourself not the lucky dog anymore. So it just goes from bad to worse just a little bit for Abner Acosta, for Trent Dinkel so far in this race. But 34 to go around here at Daytona. We're about to enter into the final third. The first 2 thirds have been pretty crazy, so goodness knows what we're about to see.
There's a lot of movement in the back of the train. They've really kind of solved things up front. Dinkel and Walter are worrying me a little bit with the swerving, but it's at the back of the train with the Hoggs and the McDonalds and the Justices and a few others who have been doing the real action here with Barbary and a few others. Yeah, they've been worrying me a little bit, but they've been far more well behaved, even though they are side by side. Your Tyler Justice, who we're riding on board with, he is with this train. He's on the lead lap. This is legitimate. This is for position. And he's a driver who got damaged earlier on in the race. We thought he was kind of wiped out in the Dinkel-Witt accident, I believe, but he got his repairs, and luckily for him, just about everybody else ahead of him has also had some sort of repair so far tonight, and he is still in with the fight. He's still very much down on speed, I can tell, but he's sticking with McDonald.
I'm not so sure he's just saving himself at the moment and just letting everybody else, or letting the race happen right in front of him, just for now. I'm not convinced that he's fully on the limit at the very back of the group there. I think there may be something to give here for Tyler Justice a little bit later on, but we'll wait and see on that one. Still 2 lines at the moment. Robert Bisor Jr. heading the outside. It's Walter in the 99 on the inside. Brandon Walter leads another lap here at the end of lap 58. There he is for private label Team Hype, getting pushed by his teammate Trent Dinkel, and we've got another driver stepping out of line. It looked like a lap car. Couldn't tell you who it was just for the moment. I think it might be James Durr, actually. It is. Just not wanting any part of this anymore. And so that's going to scatter the group a little. It's going to provide a big hole in the middle of the inside line. And so maybe those up high will be able to go somewhere now. With Mike Witt leading the line, there's a few people getting out of shape. The inside line, though, just patching up some of those gaps. And so the outside not really able to gain very much at all there. Brandon Walter still very much in the lead, but you can just see by the way everybody's behaving as a little bit more restlessness in the group.
Mike Witt, especially leading that top line. He's not working well with Robert Bisau Jr. either. He's the second SGE sports driver who's tried to work with Bisau up on the high line, and it has not worked. And even though Robert Bisau is the common denominator there, I don't think either of those are really Bisau's fault. But another SGE driver up top, Eric Papineau. He's got Ricky Barbary in between him and his teammates, but that's an interesting combination to lead the top of the train. Oh, and Bisau loses it.
Robert Bisor Jr. drops it. Robert Bisor Jr. was staring a playoff place in the face, and all of a sudden, he's gone and very nearly lost it entirely. He saved it somehow. We stay green, but I can't believe nobody got collected in that.
There was like a perfect hole for Bisau to fit through, but that was bizarre. Let's watch what happened. That is just bizarre. I don't even understand how that happened. It's hard to get loose at Daytona. Nobody hit him. Nobody made any contact. He just lost it off the corner, and luckily found a hole in the line underneath. Luckily didn't hit the wall on the inside. He survives to race another day, but he's also lost 5 seconds to the pack, and that's going to be a very, very costly mistake.
He's about to get swept up by Acosta, Powell, Walden and Guerra, who are all kind of cowering for safety about 10 seconds behind the main pack at the moment. And you can hardly blame him. This is going to be quite a bit of viewing here from Byron McDonald. Oh my goodness. And to be fair to Byron McDonald, he doesn't even hint of lifting there in the 8 car. That was absolutely remarkable. But Robert Bisor Jr., fair play for holding on to that and not ending up straight in the wall. The dream is still alive to get into those playoff places. He won't get enough points from that position at the moment, but with a caution maybe, with another trip back towards the front of the field to the front group again, then he very much could steal that final playoff place away from Tom Massey, currently driving down in 23rd position. But he is now about to be swept up by the pack. Speaking of Tom Massey, he has been just overtaken there by the leading pack and doesn't really want to interfere with these guys. The only problem for him is the fact that he's not going to be able to get in with their group either. I don't think his car's quick enough to be involved with it either, to be fair.
We're back in train mode here. It looked pretty interesting a couple laps ago, but we're back in train mode, and honestly, it's not the most exciting thing that's going on right now, but it's probably smart. There's still 28 laps to go in this race. This is a long race, and we haven't necessarily treated it as such in the past, but right now everybody's kind of calmed down just a little bit. We're running in line. We're running the laps. Everybody knows that they're likely going to have to make a pit stop before the end of this race. And you gotta survive to make that pit stop. If you're all running in line, that's gonna be the best thing. But James Dewar almost loses it off the corner. Again, some of these drivers who have lost the draft that want the caution, but you don't want to be the caution because that's gonna completely nullify that. James Dewar's gonna get out of the way, and he's gonna go I believe, yeah, he's 6 laps down. So even if he does get a caution, it's not going to help very much. But he gets back in line. He worried me a little bit, but he's fine. James is I can't figure out a pun for that. Do or well, James, something like that. I don't know.
Oh no! This is
a miserable failure.
It was pretty miserable, yeah. But never mind. Yeah, let's see what these guys can do from this position. So 26 laps still to go. Ricky Barbry's about to get swept up by those guys as well. But let's go back to the front. Brandon Walter leads another lap out here at the moment. So he must be approaching on 10 laps led now in the 99 car. But I want to talk about green flag pit stops a little bit. Are we going to see them here in this race? We commented at the time there was more than half the race to go when these guys were last on pit lane. That was more than 20 laps ago now. We said, you're not going to make it to the end like that. We're going to have to see pit stops before the end. How long are these guys going to wait until finally biting the bullet and making green flag pit stops? Is it really going to be when those tanks are running absolutely dry?
I think it has to be. There's no real reason to come in any earlier. And again, it's Daytona. You've got to pit with a buddy. I'm sure everybody watching this broadcast has heard that exact thing before. It's a cliche, but I suppose it's not a cliche if it's true. When you have teammates, that is the most helpful thing to do. Look at all these SGE sports drivers together. In real life, sometimes it's the manufacturers that decide to come down together, to work together and form a pack after pit stops. But right now, manufacturers, ignore them. They don't really matter in this series. It's all about the teams. There's so many SGE sports drivers still up here in the pack. There's 2 private label team hype drivers and Abner Acosta in the second pack. So they're just going to have to come in with the rest of the group, I think. And if Brandon Walter elects to come in, I imagine you'll see a lot of drivers following him in. But yeah, they're going to go to the extent of these tanks. We're going to go for the full stint. And they're also going to wait for a caution to come. Because that's another very real possibility. We might not see green flag pit stops at all. And if you do a green flag pit stop and the caution comes out, you pitted for no reason. You didn't really need to. So I think they're going to wait for the caution to come out, or they're going to wait if the caution's going to come out. But I'd say it's more likely when instead of if.
Well, yeah, let's see. There's still plenty of time remaining in this one. 24 laps, 23 and a half more accurately now as we run down the back straight. But I want to talk a little bit about those guys in the pack. The likes of, Eric Papineau, Byron McDonald, Tyler Justice, Pat Harvey even. Skip Gandy's right on the back of the train now. They have got the draft of about 10, 11 cars in front of them at the moment. How much fuel are they going to be able to save through that? And is it possible somebody can pull off a miracle here and actually make it to the end? Those who we haven't really spoken about in this group, those who haven't seen the front so far in this group, is it possible that they barely have hit full throttle yet since this restart and they may just be able to pull off a miracle?
You can save fuel at the back of the train if you're Skip Gandy, if you're Pat Harvey, if you're all the way at the back. But I really don't think you could stretch it to the end. That's a big stretch. And we've seen big stretches in the PRL before, especially on the oval side. We've seen fuel stretches in real life, but they'll need fuel, and unless somebody pulls off a miracle, we will see that stop, whether it comes under caution or under green. I just don't think they can go 38 laps on one tank of fuel here.
It does seem like a relatively long way. However, we've just got to wait and see, really. 22 laps to go. So at the moment, the second group, they're still losing time, being headed by Abner Acosta at the moment. Nearly 12 seconds from the back of it, from the back of the front, if that makes any sense. Ricky Barbary, the last driver on the lead lap at the moment. 18 drivers still on the lead lap right now. We've still got Jose Medina, Trent Dinkle, James Durr, Adam Zemke and Tom Amasi still running, albeit they are laps down. Richard Reagan Jr., Joe Hogarth and Steve Loving all out of the race after their various incidents. Most of them caught up in the biggest incident of the race so far. Coming up towards turn 1, where Steve Loving was eventually turned around by Daniels, got up into Daniels. So very interesting. I don't know if you've seen this, Joey, in the YouTube chat. Very interesting discussion from Steve Loving, about that, and saying that he went to the outside of Acosta. Acosta moved up high slightly, and so Loving had to react, and there was Joshua Daniels. He very much pinning the blame on Abner Acosta for a bit of a late move into turn, which I thought was very interesting indeed. I mean, it kind of makes me wonder, like, where to pin the blame there, because I personally don't really know anymore, after hearing both sides of the story anyway.
It's one of those things that's kind of hard to tell. If he did get pushed up, if we're talking about the same incident, that is, I don't know if we're talking about the same caution. I'm thinking about the one where he ended up the track and clearing himself across Hudson's nose and getting turned over the field.
Sorry, I didn't mean Daniels. Hudson, yes.
Yeah, I think I confused Daniels and Loving too. So Joshua Daniels has just he's been getting the brunt of the booth here. He's done nothing wrong all night. But either way, Steve Loving was inside the car, so I'm going to take his word over what we saw outside of the car. But those are the kinds of things that can happen at Daytona when it's just close quarters. One wrong move, whether it's from yourself, whether it's from the driver behind, a bad push, not being clear. We're racing at the highest speeds we do all season. One mistake is really exacerbated, and there's no small crash, and that's what we saw there. That's where all these drivers were wiped out. And before I end this anecdote, I've been wanting to mention Joe Hogard as well. We lost him earlier on in the race. He was involved in that caution, and I feel bad for him because the last super speedway race we ran this season was at Atlanta, the new reprofiled Atlanta, super speedway Atlanta. Joseph Hogard won that race because Dinkel and Acosta took each other out. And he was honestly one of my picks coming into tonight because I thought he would be good at picking up the pieces again. Unfortunately, he got taken out in somebody else's accident, so that's a shame for my fellow Joseph, who also won a race for the first time in the PRL this season.
Absolutely. You just can't seem to stop mentioning it at the moment, can you? That you won a race. I don't blame you though. Just getting that one in there. Just off the back at the moment, Pat Harvey and Skip Gandy, by the way. So we're dropped to 11 now. That's the top 10 in the race, and Trent Dinkel. But there they are, Gandy and Harvey. I'm not sure who was at fault or whether anybody. They've just lost the draft here, but they are now going to be losing a lot of time here in this race. But yeah, Joe Hogard, one of 3 retirements here in this one. Unfortunately, only joined us for season 3, so the victory didn't get him a playoff place anyway. So shame for him. But Skip Gandy in the 20 off the back at the moment in the 12th position. So we've now got 10 for the lead. And I get the feeling that this 10 aren't going to go to the line together. They're not going to get to the white flag. And this 10 still nose to tail up front. It does feel like there's going to be a few more off the back between now and then, even a few more in the wall, but let's hope not.
Yeah, hopefully not in the wall, but in real life, sometimes we get very frustrated at the Cup Series drivers in real life for waiting so long to actually make a move, and they wait too long, and they can't make the move because they only left themselves one lap to work together, and they wreck a bunch of cars, and we have finished under yellow and nothing exciting happens. But we're in the PRL Cup Series. We're not in the real NASCAR Cup Series, and these drivers have proven that they're able to do a lot more entertaining things here, and I think they're going to form up a lot earlier, but we've likely got a pit stop before that happens, and we almost just got our caution there with Harvey and Gandy. That was almost a similar situation to Barbary and Amasi, just wrecking each other while you're racing for nothing, but they kept it going. Everybody up front here kept it going, and it's still just kind of the same train as before. It's just a waiting game right now. It's a pressure cooker. When does somebody finally make the move? Probably in about 10 laps time or so.
You can just see the restlessness, the body language of these cars right now really starting to get out of hand. You can see a few just taking wider lines out of turn 2 and 4 just to kind of give themselves a little bit of breathing room to kind of restock and think about what they're doing here. Yeah, it's a very tense situation at the front of the group at the moment. Not a lot happening, but you get the feeling that they're about to embark on quite a battle here. Nobody pulling down below the double yellow line there into pit road on this occasion, but with 15 to go, you've got to think that pit stops are only around the corner. Over 30 laps now in this stint for these drivers. We may be waiting a little bit longer, in all fairness, for these pit stops to actually happen. However, they're not too far away, and you can sense the tension between these 11 drivers in just the way that they're driving. That's, you know, something big is about to happen in this group, and this race is about to light on fire.
I think I previously said that they'd go 38 laps on a tank, and I don't know why I said that, because that is mathematically incorrect. If they went to the end of the race, it will be 47 laps on a tank, which is even more impossible. So I don't know how I got my numbers wrong there, but the only driver who could make it to the end, and here we go, Only driver who could make it to the end is Jose Medina, but he's a lap down, and now everybody's going to come down here in the top 10 and on the lead lap.
Oh, 3 wide on the way into pit road as well. The 11 drivers in the front group pit together. Make sure you hit your marks. Don't overshoot your box, as we just saw with Eric Haag there. Eric Haag overshot his box, certainly, and he will lose out as a result. Clayton Ham and Luke Christian taking tyres even in this one. Who's going to take tyres? Who isn't here in this one at the moment? We're on the pit exit at the moment. Clayton Ham is going to win the race on pit road. It's quite a long stop for Dinkel and Walter, who lose out. They all squirm under power. Clayton Ham has almost got too big of a lead here. He's going to get absolutely mauled on the restart right now. It's Walter, then Hudson, then we've got Mike Witt and Joshua Daniels next. Joshua Daniels can't keep the car under control at the moment. It's such a difficult pit exit here. Daniels squirms under power. Oh, big save as well from Papineau, who's still sliding, and he finally gets it under control, but he has lost the draft as well.
Well saved, Eric Papineau, I have to say, but I don't think that's going to be much solace for him. I don't think he really cares that he saved it. I think he probably wishes that he would have completely lost it and brought the caution out. But anyway, I think the road course skills of Clayton Ham really came into the fray there. He braked later than the 2 drivers in front of him. He beat them onto pit road, and he beat them off pit road. So while he might have a huge lead right now, he did a great job. He got the track position, and I think that is just the diversity of skills for a driver who races in the GT3 cars in the PRL a lot. He knows road course brakes. This is a car that's more modeled after a V8 supercar. It's got better brakes. It's got more road course car qualities, and it really played off for Clayton Ham. I feel bad for him, though, that he's about to get swallowed up here.
He's absolutely going to get swallowed up here. And look at that. The speed from Brandon Walter out front right now is frightening, and the 3 may get away here. Eric Haag going to try and push Clayton Ham on terms at the moment with Tyler Justice there as well. I think you were right earlier in saying that Justice is suffering with a bit of damage at the moment because he's struggling now. You can see very high line there for somebody clicking up the sparks. Who on earth is that? On the outside line, trying to get to pit road as well, if possible, when they get round there. Who was that? Was that Jose Medina, maybe?
That's Luke Christian. Luke Christian.
Oh, Christian.
I don't know what happened to him. He was perfectly fine, but the suspension's broken. The car's scraping on the ground. I don't know what happened.
He was one of the only drivers to change tyres. Saw him go up on the jacks. But he has certainly been in the wall here. Box fly from the 21. And he makes his way down pit road, thankfully without bringing out a caution. Or does he stay out? No, he stays out. Well, this is very bizarre now.
He's got to stay out. That's what I would do too. We've only got 11 laps left in the race. If the caution comes out, I don't want to go laps down. He's 1 lap down. He's in the lucky dog position, so I applaud him for staying out. That's what I would do too, but he's going to go a lap down if we go green, and I have no idea what could have caused that damage. I didn't see him hit the wall on the pit entry. I didn't see him lose it on the pit exit. I am clueless as to what happened to Luke Christian there.
No idea either, really. What happened there? Ricky Barbary, I think that is up high at the moment, going 1 lap down as well. He lost the back of the train, and now we've got the leaders in as well. 5 drivers stayed out in a pack all of their own, running about 10 seconds off the back of the overall leaders, and now they do make their way down in. It's Abner Acosta, Robert Bissell Jr., Sean Powell, João Guerra, and Waldo Walden.
Sean Powell's in the tri-oval right now. Sean Powell didn't make pit road.
Oh, dear.
I just saw him in the grass.
Sean Powell, yeah, he didn't make pit road. You're absolutely right. Sean Powell did not make pit road at all. Robert Bissell Jr. gets going now as well, almost tentatively. But Bissell Jr. and Acosta, for some reason, are miles in front of the rest. They're all on their own in that battle for 8th place as the leaders go through. It's going to be a leading group of 7. This is what happened to Luke Christian on the way in. Oh, he hits the wall. I don't know how he didn't see that the first time, to be honest, but it's just so hard to slow down for pit road.
Yeah, there were so many cars there. I also don't know how we missed a spinning car, and it was actually after the pit entry. Normally when we see cars lose it on the entry to the pits to Daytona, it's before that. It's that inside wall beforehand. But Christian's going to be very disappointed. This is what happened to Sean Powell. I think he was trying to avoid Waldo Walden on the inside, and he just wasn't able to get it slowed down, and he elects to bail. If you hit that cone, you get a penalty for an unsafe pit entry, so he elects that not entering the pits at all and going around another lap is less of a penalty than getting a drive-through or stop and go. I guess that was a smart move. So good thinking by Sean Powell. I'm sure he wishes he didn't have to do that good thinking in the nick of time there, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a shame for him. So this group has been reduced to the top 6. Trent Dinkle is here as well, so it is 7 cars at the moment. Brandon Walter being pushed to the lead at the moment by Trent Dinkle right now. We're going to get towards 8 to go towards the end. Everybody can get to the end from here on fuel. It's just a case of who's going to cross the line first here in this race now. What makes it so difficult for everybody else is the fact that Walter has a teammate who is completely dedicated to his race. There is nothing that will separate Trent Dinkle from the rear end of that 99 car.
Similar dynamic to the real life cup race. If you haven't watched it, I'm going to spoil it, so mute your stream in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tyler Reddick was behind Austin Dillon in the cup race tonight. It was a similar dynamic with a bunch of damaged cars trying to beat him too, and they were completely unable to because there was a moving wall in front of them in the form of a teammate of the driver who needed to win the race. So Trent Dinkle is going to be in complete help Brandon Walter mode. As we tick across the line here, it's 7 laps to go, so even if Abner Acosta gets wiped out, he can't go enough. Well, he can go enough laps down. He can finish behind Dinkle, but he can't finish enough positions behind Dinkle to lose the championship. So unfortunately for Dinkle, the championship is officially over right now on lap 7. So he's only got one thing to think about, and that's how to help his teammate Brandon Walter get win number 2 in the PRL.
And Robert Bissoy Jr. as well is very much on his way again to possibly stealing a playoff place right at the very end. He needs to finish in 12th position or better to take that away from Tom Amasi. He's currently 10th, running with Abner Acosta, but they will get caught by Gandhi, Harvey and Papineau, and in which case that fight will really commence once again further on behind these guys. There they are, Acosta, and Bissoy Jr. is pushing Abner Acosta for his life at the moment because those 3 in the background cannot afford to catch him as far as Bissoy Jr. is concerned, because that means it's the difference between playoffs and not getting there. But I think they're going to get caught. I think Bissoy Jr. is going to have to fight for it.
Going to have to fight for it. It's a whole second race. They've actually got a bigger pack, or at least they will have a bigger pack. Once they catch Daniels and McDonald, if they do, they'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars versus 6 drivers up front. Unfortunately, though, all the momentum you're going to build up is going to be completely irrelevant because there's 6 laps to go, and unless you're catching at 2 seconds per lap, that 11-second gap is not going to be made up. So Bissoy is just fighting position for position here. He's probably hoping for a caution. He's probably hoping that he'll get some other way to get up into the lead of this race, but for now, his upper limit seems to be 7th right now, and probably more likely just 9th.
Looks like Abner Acosta is completely checked out of this group as well. I think he's seen what's about to happen, what you just described there, and thought, I don't really want this. And so I'm going to drop to the back here. 13th place will do me just fine. As we've got movement up front, side by side, we've got pack racing again. Now Brandon Walter is going to have to do the defending on his own.
Whoa.
Chris Hudson to the high line. Oh, there's contact. There's someone in the wall in the background. Who's that? It looks like Barry McDonald has got around as well, mate, possibly. We're free wide through the tri-oval. It's all getting out of control. Chris Hudson's out of control. So's Tyler Justice. We've got cars in the wall everywhere. We stay green somehow, but there's so few cars remaining without any damage. It's Clayton Ham versus Mike Witt for the win now.
That was just insanity. One car got loose at the exit of 4, and they kept trying to wreck for the entire tri-oval, and eventually everybody was still pointing in a straight line. We've got a lot of damaged cars, but everybody is still rolling, so no caution. And Ham and Witt are the survivors at the end of it. Neither of these drivers have won a race in the PRL before, and if there's no caution, these are going to be the only 2 in contention.
This is unbelievable. Clayton Ham versus Mike Witt, 3 to go. Eric Haag has to come down pit lane. He is done here, surely. Chris Hudson has got damage. Tyler Justice will as well. Brandon Walter the same. They're all going to get caught. And so it's going to be between these 2. Possibly, there's nowhere near enough laps for the guys battling over 7th place to lead or to get involved at the moment. It is just between these two. We very rarely see anything like this at a super speedway. It's a two-up battle between the 7 and the 26 for the win here in the final race of Season 3. What a remarkable race it has been as well. The discussions and the mind games will begin. What's the better place to be in here? Would you rather be leading or chasing going on to the final lap?
It's an interesting dynamic because it's not going to be a normal Daytona finish. We don't normally see a two-car tandem fighting for the victory here. And I don't know if Mike Witt even knows what to do here. I wouldn't know what to do here because, like I said, this is not something that normally happens at Daytona. It's never a 1v1 battle. You would think that you just want to get the draft, you want to get the slingshot, you'd want to pull out and overhaul him, but that's so hard to do. You're going to hit a wall of air on the outside that's going to slow you down, and your run might just get killed. So Mike Witt needs to hope that he can get the run of his life here, get to the outside of Clayton Ham, and then use the side draft to try and beat him to the line. But how do you time that? You better figure it out, Mike Witt, because you got a quarter of a lap until the white flag.
Goodness me, Mike Witt with the world at his feet and an unprecedented opportunity for this driver to do it right now and get his first win in the Precision Racing League, not just in the NASCAR Cup Series, in the PRL totally. He's going to try everything here. He swings wide into turn number 1 to start off getting this run. You can see him gaining through 2 now and out through the corner onto the backstretch. He's looking to just back off ever so slightly and then get the run of his life towards the tri-oval and take this one in a photo finish. It's going to come down to that surely. Into 3 they go. He's almost pushing Clayton Ham here. He's got to be careful with that. He's going to try and swing high and get the best run possible. Has he just left this one a bit too late? Has he got the run that he needs? He's going to really floor it now. He's going to drive, but the line is coming. Clayton Ham is going to take it here. There's not enough time. Mike Witt can't do it. Clayton Ham wins at Daytona in a crazy race. A two-up battle to the line between them. The chasers behind didn't have enough laps. And so after 90 laps of racing, crazy racing, unpredictable stuff, Clayton Ham takes the win. Mike Witt just falls at the final hurdle and he couldn't quite get there.
And I don't think there was anything more Mike Witt could have done there. He hit the wall of air. The run was almost impossible, and that's unfortunately just a reality of these cars. But I would be remiss not to mention that about 70 laps ago, Clayton Ham was like 10 feet in the air after avoiding a caution. And Clayton Ham didn't get any damage. He went 10 feet in the air. He tried to start a space program. He probably should have gone down the street to Cape Canaveral, but he wins the race. I hope we can build up a replay or reel up the replay there of when Clayton Ham went to space, because that is zero to hero if I've ever seen it. Clayton Ham, what a survival. I'm not going to say any more words now because I don't even know what to say.
There are no words to describe this race, and there probably aren't any to describe Clayton Ham's feeling right here. He will savour this burnout, savour these donuts, and savour this victory here in the Precision Racing League. What a moment for him. He beats Mike Witt, who will be disappointed, but if you'd have given him second place at the start of the day, he absolutely would have taken it. By the way, behind, Tyler Justice won the little group battle towards the line ahead of Chris Hudson and Brandon Wattle. Will fill you in on all the results when we get to it in a few moments' time. But for now, Clayton Ham enjoying his moment. He wins by 900ths of a second ahead of Mike Witt. Tyler Justice did win that battle for third ahead of Hudson and Walter, all of whom were damaged but were gaining at an alarming rate. 1 or 2 more laps and they might have been there too. Abner Acosta seals the championship with 6th place. Robert Pisor Jr. steals a place in the playoffs with that 7th place. What a great drive from him today ahead of Joshua Daniels, Eric Papineau and Pat Harvey rounding out the top 10. We're already getting towards guys who are not on the lead lap today. Skip Gandy was the last of them. Ricky Barbary finished 1 lap down ahead of Sean Powell, Jose Medina, Joe Guerra and Waldo Walden in the end. Guys with a few more issues like Eric Haag finishing a few more laps down, along with Lou Christian, Barry McDonald and Trent Dinkle. 20th place for him, not enough to take the title. Adam Zemke was 21st ahead of James Tom Amasi was the final driver to see the checkered flag there in 23rd. He misses out on the playoffs by very few points in the end. Very sad for him. Steve Loving, Richard Reagan Jr. and Joe Huggard did not make it to the end in that race. Abner Acosta also enjoying some donuts himself in the 5 car. He's going to enjoy his moment here at Daytona. It's back-to-back titles for Abner Acosta here today. Sets him apart. Nobody else has actually won 2 in the past. Obviously, 2 people have won more, but nobody's won 2, rather bizarrely. So Abner Acosta will be in a league of his own on that particular count, but you can't take anything away from him, Joey. Things fell his way today, but it hasn't been given to him this season.
It hasn't. We call Abner the tire whisperer, but he's the everything whisperer. Even at a track like Daytona, where anyone can win, anyone can succeed if they know the right restricted plate racing skills. Abner Acosta knew what he had to do to survive, and he finishes P6. So it's no surprise to see Abner Acosta winning this championship. He's been so consistent this season. He's been the best driver over the course of the season, and like you said, this is his 2nd championship in the Cup Series. He's been a driver of 2s. He won 2 GTE championships. He won 2 truck championships. Now he's won 2 Cup championships. What's he going to win 2 championships of next?
Well, let's see. Let's see what he targets next, indeed. But we'll get to him in a few moments. For now, we'll talk to the race winner, Clayton Ham, and it will be great to speak to the driver taking his first ever PRL win here at Daytona. Clayton, welcome to the commentary booth. Great to have you here. What a dramatic final few laps that was between you and Mike Witt. In the end, the battle went all the way to the line. Tell us about those final 2.5 miles.
Oh my God. I mean, what else is there to say? This race had just about everything. I mean, there's so many times I thought we were out of it. I lost Joe. I had Eric Hogg with me. And I mean, that last few laps, it felt like the end of Talladega Nights. It was pretty much everything I could have imagined.
It was a remarkable race, I've got to say. I mean, what were you thinking when you were 10 feet in the air avoiding a caution as well, by the way? Well, I don't know how we missed it at first, but we did see the replays. You were almost going into orbit at the end. I mean, there were so many cautions. Well, not that many cautions, but a lot of big crashes. How did you kind of avoid all those and stay out of trouble throughout the day?
I mean, when I was in the air, I thought it was over. I felt like I did such a good job, and I felt like that was a really good representation of just my season, like that I've done decent in the first half of the race, and then everything comes crashing down to the ground eventually. But I thought I was going to hit Josh there and just kill myself while avoiding the wreck, and so many wrecks I just avoided. Like the last one with the big pack falling out, I don't know how I really got through that, but I just did.
Yeah, it was what was required, of course, and a great win for you on those final couple of laps, Clayton. Congratulations on taking it here tonight, and congratulations on a nice season, a great end to the season. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much. Clayton Ham, victorious here at Daytona with that battle all the way to the line. We'll also speak to another very happy driver here as well. Now, championship winner Abner Acosta is joining us now. 6th place on the day, Abner, but it didn't matter in the end. Trent Dinkle finishing suitably far enough down for you to take the title here tonight. I want to talk a little bit about the second half of the race for you, though, because there was a very obvious moment where you pulled out of the line, you went to the back and said, "I want no more part of this anymore," because it was getting getting pretty racy up there. Just what was that race like for you after Dinkle had his issues in that one? What was your mindset like after that?
Yeah. Good evening. Yeah. So, yeah. Everything was getting really crazy. When we were single file before, I was okay with that. But people started to get really crazy. People were kind of like dicing in and out of lanes. They were kind of touching. And I'm like, you know what? The best thing is just to pull out of this situation right now, since Trent obviously had issues. So I just pulled out, went all the way to the back. My intent was not to lose the draft, but I guess I was playing around with saving fuel, and I made a rookie mistake and lost the draft. But I guess that also was also good. That was also like an extra safer play. I'm not just sticking around in the back there and get caught in any wrecks. So yeah, definitely saw everything get crazy and just pulled out. It was just a smart play to do.
It certainly was. I mean, what do you think that would have been like, though? I know it's hard to say, hypothetical situations, obviously it's hard to say. But what do you think that would have been like if Dinkle would have been up there, you would both in the front group with, clean cars, and you'd have to fight that one out pretty much between yourselves? What would that have been like? Because it was already quite crazy without a championship on the line.
Yeah, and it gets even crazier because we're teammates. So it's like coming into it, I just told him, hey, for this race, we're both enemies essentially. Because I mean, if at the beginning he was ahead of me and I'm behind him, and it's kind of like he's getting more points for leading laps. Anytime that he's ahead of me, I'm losing. So I told him, I made it clear at the beginning, we're both gonna just race on our own. Obviously, if I can help him a little bit, I can. But we both had it very clear that we're both gonna do our own thing, and just try to not to wreck each other. It worked out in the end. We didn't. It would have been super stressful. I'm not glad that he wrecked or anything like that. But if we were both like, our stress levels were really high, just because anything can happen here, even on the last lap. So 90 laps of this with him with a good car behind me, it would have been crazy.
Certainly would have been. It was pretty crazy enough without it as well, to be fair. Congratulations, though, Abner, on this championship. 2 in a row for you now. We'll let you go and enjoy. Congratulations, Abner, and thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks very much. Abner Acosta, winner, champion indeed, of Season 3 in 2022 of the NASCAR Cup Series. We're going to stay with the championship theme now and bring in unfortunate runner-up. Trent Dinkle joins us now, and Joey is chatting to him.
Well, Trent Dinkle, I don't know what else I can say. It was an unfortunate day for you. End of the day, a lot more laps down than I'm sure you hoped, but what are you feeling now at the end of this championship?
Yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of anger, probably, I guess, unfortunately, but it is what it is. First of all, huge congrats to Abner. He was there when it mattered. We locked up the team championship pretty easily, and I think it's more just frustrating that you go out there and basically win or finish second in every single race this season, and it still comes down to being tied in points in the last race. I probably should have had the season locked up before this race, but it is unfortunate, and then I just got shuffled back and nobody at all was really helping me, and Abner just was up front, and I got net code that took me out of the race.
Well, sure. It's understandably disappointing at the end of the season here, but I'm going to look forward to next season. I assume we'll be back. Private label team hype. You first big championship challenge here. What's next season going to look like for you?
I know me and Abner have a huge gap in the, a huge lead in the playoff points. So, I'm just hoping to make it to that last race, and, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can keep up what I've been doing. So we'll see.
Trying to think about the real NASCAR Cup schedule coming up, about what tracks are coming up. We got, I'm sure, Talladega, bunch of intermediates. I think one more road course. I think the Roval might be next season. What are you specifically looking forward to, if anything, next season? You and Ab are pretty closely matched on the road courses, so.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a huge fan of the Roval, so I would imagine Abner will have a little bit of an advantage there. I'm kind of sad we're missing Kansas, because I remember last time we were there, I drove from the back of the field to the front and then got wrecked. So that was a strong track. Texas, contrary to what literally everybody that watches NASCAR thinks, I love Texas, and that's always been a good track for me. So, I think if I can just keep consistent and just keep my nose clean, unlike tonight, I think it should be a pretty easy deal to make it to the Final Four, and then hopefully the last race of our season will hopefully be something good, like a good track that we can race at, because I know we won't finish at Phoenix. We'll have to go 1 week into iRacing schedule, so we'll just have to see what happens.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you back, and sure, it's bittersweet tonight, but congrats on winning half of the races this season.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Trent Dinkle, P2 in the championship, but he'll be back next season. And we've got P2 in the race as well. Mike Witt, we've got to you now, P2 in the Cup race tonight. Looked like you just hit a little bit of a wall of air coming to the line there. Do you think you could do anything more?
No, probably not. Not with a little bit of damage I had left from the net code between me and Trent. But man, it was a good run. I'm happy I still finished second. I felt like I could have won this race tonight if I didn't have no damage. But hey, it is what it is.
So on the last, or I think it was like 3 laps to go, when you guys were about 3 wide coming through the tri-oval, everything fell apart, and you and Clayton just kind of made your way through. You were the last 2 survivors. How on earth did you make it through that? Do you even know how you made it through?
Yeah, I was just kind of content running right behind him. We'd kind of been together throughout most of the race, and so when I seen him going for the middle, I just went with him and prayed. Man, that's all I could do.
I don't know if you watched back the PRL truck broadcast from a couple weeks ago, but when Terry Radford and I were predicting our winner for the truck race at Daytona, I broke out the random number generator, and it generated 26. So you were our pick for Daytona in the trucks, and I guess our pick for tonight. So it was great to see you up front there for challenging for that first win in the 26. The randomly generated number is how I should sequence those words.
Yep. Bad luck in that truck race. Got me shuffled in the back there at the end. So I felt like I had a real good shot at that one and this one as well. But yeah, I did hear that the number generator picked my number. I felt good all week at Daytona, so I ran good all week, and I'm just able to get a little more practice time. So hopefully the fruits will show in this last season. I think I barely made the playoffs, I believe.
We'll have to calculate that. I think you may have, but one last question. We'll talk about next season. We talked with Trent a little bit earlier about some of the specific tracks he's looking forward to. I guess just talk about full season. What are you looking forward to? How do you think you're going to do in another full season of the PRL?
Yeah, I think there's really no particular track other than, of course, I love super speedway racing and short track. So either one of those, I feel like I can hold my own in. The intermediates, I'm still working on it with this car. This car is a handful on those tracks, and just trying to find, really the right line to run and not kill your stuff pretty much. But I'm looking forward to this last season. I think I'll show up a little bit more in this last season. I'm going to put a little more work in. But appreciate you guys, man.
Yep. Congrats on P2 tonight, and we're looking forward to having you back next season. Hopefully you can go one better.
Yep. That's my plan. I appreciate you guys. Thanks all the sponsors that helped put this on. I want to thank PepsiCo as well. And you guys, man, awesome broadcasting. So appreciate you guys coming on board.
Thank you, Mike Witt, and congratulations to him on P2 again. Mike Witt never quits P2 to end the season, but we got one more. Justice for Tyler Justice. He's with Ewan.
Tyler, welcome to the booth one last time. 3rd place again here tonight on this occasion at Daytona. It all came down to those final few laps. There was a fairly big incident about 4 laps ago, something like that. Just tell us your view as to what happened.
Yeah, I made a mistake. My teammate, I lost one of my teammates early in Richard. He had a wheel issue again, so we were down a teammate, and Sean ended up losing the draft and coming back around and was able to help me, and we started to make a move there, and we got 3 wide at some point. I don't know who I was pushing, but with not taking any tires on that last pit stop with a splash of fuel, it was a little more edgy than it would have been if we would have fresh tires, and I don't know who I was behind, but I just hit him a little off square exit in the tri-oval and hooked him. So I don't know who it was, but I apologize. I'll have to go back and look at that. But just trying to do something there at the end. I mean, we had a shot at it. It's all you can ask for, really. I mean, I should have been caught up in a bunch of mess tonight. Did get caught up in the first one and didn't have too much damage and was able to continue. But like I said, made it to the end, had a shot, still got 3rd, was able to, draft with a few others there at the end to manage to get 3rd there at the end. So another podium, happy with it. Just looking for that win.
Absolutely. God, I can't even speak words at the moment. Indeed, I want to go back a little bit further, though, into the start of the race, because we saw a couple of cautions very early. I saw a lot of cars completely wrecked, just after 20 laps or so. Did the start of the race surprise you, or did you think that more cars would get further into the race than what actually happened?
I thought we'd get a little further. I mean, going into the practice, I noticed that the steering box on this fixed setup is a little sloppy. Like, if you don't set your steering box up right, you can it's a little off. So it was a lot of people that were, floating around everywhere, and it was a little harder to keep a straight line. And so that I think that kind of played into having a little bit more incidents. But I thought we would have went, better than that. We had a whole fuel strategy that we were planning on trying to use to get ahead of the pack and get away from them, but never got a chance to even use it because just too many cautions, really. But it played out all right for us, and we were able to get a podium, like I said. But just like I said, still trying to look for that win.
Absolutely. We'll hope that it comes for you indeed in Season 4 cut just around the corner here at the PRL. For now, though, Tyler, congratulations on another podium here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you again next season.
Thank you. Let me give a shout out to my sponsors real quick. Liquid Molly, Garrett Coffee, all my teammates at Phase 2 Chassis Works for helping me this season. I want to thank all of them, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
Absolutely, our pleasure indeed. Tyler Justice, third place here today at Daytona, the final race of Season 3. That is just about going to do it for us here tonight, though. We've got no next race, unfortunately. Next season is what we've got to look forward to. Season 4 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Cup Series will be coming your way very soon indeed. Make sure you join us for that as the playoffs begin, and indeed there'll be a Season 4 championship and, of course, the overall points throughout 2022 to settle as well. It's been Trent Dinkle and Abner Acosta all the way, but the driver of the number 5, Abner Acosta, was able to take Season 3 as he did in Season 2 as well. Will he be able to go 3 in a row? Find out next season here on RaceSpotTV. For now, though, we will bid you farewell. I've been Ewan O'Leary. Joey Tebbin has been alongside me. Hugo Luis has been behind the cameras all season long. And until we see you again very soon here at RaceSpotTV, it's goodbye for now.